You're off. Go ahead, Bill.
All right, good evening, everyone. Sorry for the delay, a little technology impairment on my part. We're doing strictly video tonight. We'll be showing plays with incorrect mechanics. This is not to show up other officials. None of us have worked a perfect game. This is to get better, understand why we're using these plays and what we need to learn from what we're seeing. We can't get out and get snaps right now. I don't know if we're gonna get snaps in the fall before game starts, but film might be the next best option, viewing to see what we have to do. So this is the opening kickoff of the game. Clock stopped, the play clock stopped, the game clock stopped. We should be completely ready for this play. Don't start the play with 10, don't start the play with 12. Count your players, make sure that the kicking team understands that they need to be inside the numbers. They have to have a foot at least on the 30. And if there's seems to be a problem with how many players are on each side of the kicker, make sure they understand that. There's no reason to have a formation foul before the ball is kicked. An 8-man, the center judge, is in control of the pace, and 7-man's gonna be the back judge. You need to make sure all of your players all the other officials are ready and signal as such. And so as I start this play, try to remember that kick plays have segments. So we have a kick until possession is made. So it's very unusual to see a kicking team score a touchdown on a free kick, but remember it's possible because you have segments. You have the kick, you have the possession, you have the return, and then the loose ball, and then the recovery. If on kickoffs, there's no reason to be fast. The spot's not going to go anywhere. Take your time getting upfield. At this point in time, the runner's at the 20-yard line. The referee's just breaking the goal line at the 2-yard line. He's taking his time, so he's in position to officiate the play still. So the kickers are getting better. Note that we're kicking off from position 4, so they're probably going to try to pin the receiving team to the top of the field. The kicking team doesn't want to cover more than 2/3 of the field, so they're going to try to kick it to an area so that forcing the return team to only participate in that part of the area and not return it to the other side. Note you have a whine by the line of scrimmage. The head linesman at the top of the screen. He's whining once it's possessed in the field of play. Head linesman didn't get down too far downfield, was able to get back and rule on the goal line, which is one of the more important lines on the field. So this film is from 2017. Anybody see a problem with what's going on right here?
Well, I'd say you got a pretty obvious wedge there at about the 12.
So teams are getting away from that, and they understand that that's a rule, but that's why we've switched from officiating the kicking team to officiating the return team. because they have to worry about the wedge, and they are fair catching more. So let's look at this block. Find it here. At the numbers at the 20. Is there any problem with that block? And what you have to remember is, even though that's a violent hit, that kicking team player who's covering the kick has seen the block coming. It's in his field of vision. Any questions on this play?
No, I got something for you. You know, I know we haven't really talked about reverse mechanics. I see on my screen here that Jeremy's going to talk about it here in a couple of weeks. But let's say that player that fumbled, the kicking team recovers that fumble. At what point, where would the new return guy have to be tackled for the deep guys to be expected to come get the ball? Because I think that, where are you guys going on kick plays? 15 yards downfield as a deep wing?
10 to 15 yards downfield.
Yeah, so, let's say that guy gets tackled to the 10-yard line. Is the expectation that the deep wings are going to get that spot, or should we expect the short wings to get that spot?
And you're never going to pass the ball carrier just to let someone else get a spot, are you?
No. But if we're officiating this play like a kick, we're officiating this kick return, I'm not ever going to get to the runner. Because when that fumble occurs, I'm still going to be trailing him if I'm on the line of scrimmage.
True. Technically, the deep wings have to the 2-yard line, correct?
Yeah, but I wonder how practical that is on this particular type of play with the change of possession so deep in B's territory.
I mean, if he gets tackled as soon as he gains possession here at the 20, I think the deep wings would have a more likely chance to get that.
Maybe.
I don't understand your question, Nick. Miss Frank.
Hey, Frank, I'm just suggesting. So this guy for the kicking team picks the ball up. At what point are we really in reverse mechanics where we would expect the deep wings to get the progress spot if that guy doesn't score?
Oh, okay. I wouldn't expect them to at all. They're never going to get there in practicality. Technically, they should come and get it, but they're going to be so far down the field on a fumble at the 20 to 25-yard line. They'll never get transitioned to that point. I think we as the short wings have everything coming at us, the spot as well as the goal line.
Yeah, and I don't disagree with that. It was just food for thought.
Good point. I didn't understand the question when you first came out. I think the only thing we want, Nick, for the short wings to do on that play is as they're coming up the field, pick up our beanbag for us.
That's nice. All right, second play. Again, we're kicking off, making sure that your restricted area is clean of coaches. There's no reason that the coaches should be in the white at this point in time, especially at wherever he's at, the 43-yard line. Make sure he's back because our heels are on the back edge of the white, and we're looking for that. So we need to be able to be ready to officiate. Note the field judge at the bottom of the screen. He's already moving. You should have cement feet and don't move until you need to. The deep wings should not move until the kicking team has passed them. Take your time. There's no rush. You're only going 10 yards downfield. Looks like the side edge at the side, top of the screen is also moving way too quick. You can't officiate when you're running. So we have a fair catch signal at the 29-yard line. I would hope that the referee and the near side line of scrimmage person should be able to see this. But there's also a chance that that deep wing who's running downfield could also assist with that. Okay, sorry about that.
Are they coming down here to visit me?
We were supposed to go on a cruise. So this is an up person. He's not supposed to be returning the ball. And he knows the ball's kicked right at him. He gives one quick swipe above his head, and then he catches the ball. For kickoffs, we're counting invalid signals as valid for the moving up to the 25 if it's caught outside the 25. And remember that this is a rather short kickoff, so the return team's anticipating a return. The kicking team can see that he's calling for a fair catch. So with this type of play, you change to dead ball officiating rather quick. And one thing that's unusual about this play is we're kicking from, now camera angles backwards, we're kicking from position 4, but yet he kicks to the top of the screen. Just because that's where the kicker placed the ball doesn't mean that they will be trying to pin the ball to that short area. So this is a short kickoff. It's not an onside attempt, and it's not a deep attempt. But remember that that kicking line is a plane. And it's a strict plane if they are trying to onside. Now this is a little deep, so you may be giving them a little bit more leeway. I'm not saying anybody is, but there is a lot of threat for a lot of these kicking players to be offsides on this kick. All right, let's watch the action at about the 15-yard line. You have 41 chasing 2, and he just gives them just a slight little push in the back. And you have to know, is that enough to call foul? We're told, make it be there, make it be big. Is that action by 41 enough?
Bill,
It's
I
at the
think
point
it
of
is.
attack.
Yeah. What I was going to say, Bill, is at the point of attack, but look, I mean, he's behind him enough. He's in chase mode that, I mean, if he's going to hit him at all in the back, then we got to go with blocking the back. If he's even with him, it'd be a different story. But he's clearly behind him.
Absolutely. Let's watch the two players that are just inside that. See, these two are on an even plane. They're on the same yard line. So that player, I'm not saying it is a blocking back. I think it's a side block. But he would have more leeway since he's even with the player he's trying to block. 41's in chase. He gets no leeway. If he displaces it all in the back, then we need to call that foul. So this block is pretty close to the hash marks, and let's see where that flag comes from. So that flag is coming from a deep wing 30 yards away, and block is almost at the hashes. And what you need to understand on kick plays, that your zone is going to ebb and flow to where the threat is going to be. You need to be able to watch into who's got the brick, who has the potential to foul. Does that make sense to everyone?
I'm surprised that we didn't potentially have 2 flags on this play, not only the short wing at the bottom, but also the deep. I mean, not only the deep wing at the bottom, but the short wing at the bottom, since he's the first threat.
Agreed. Another thing to point out is we're a crew out there. Look where that flag is currently at. It's at the 20-yard line. Jesus Christ. Make sure that you move your flag, because you're not going to be able to hit a spot that far away. Make sure you move that flag, and don't move it to the 15-yard line. Make it the 14 or the 16. Umpires are kind of not that smart where they can go half yards, and plus the line of scrimmage guys won't want to be starting on that. So where this foul occurs, make it to 16. Just common football IQ there. Good get. Move your flag. All right, as you can see, this is play 1. This is the opening kickoff of a game. Now you can see the ball's at the 50-yard line, but let's say it's actually short of the 45 and it has not gone 10 yards yet. If we're only 4 up in the rectangle, the back judge has that block, and he has to rule who's initiating that block. Because the kicking team cannot block a return team player until the ball is able to be touched by them legally. Now, 90% of the time, it is going to be the return team initiating the block. If the kicking team player does initiate it, it's going to stand out big, and it's usually going to be against a player who's attempting to field the ball. Side judge clearly sees who has possession, signals right away strong. Pre-game with your crew about digging for fumbles, loose balls. Someone should be digging. Someone should be separating players. Someone should have a wide view away from everybody else to make sure there's nothing happening between opposing players.
Hey, Bill.
It should be, yes, go ahead.
My question here, I guess, would be, you talk about digging, and I agree that we need to pregame digging for stuff like this, but if the side judge is going to come out with a clear possession, we don't really need to focus on digging so much as just getting guys up off the ground, right?
Correct. Yeah, if we didn't have a signal on possession yet, make sure that only one person is digging, and it's usually the umpire if it's a scrimmage play. But someone needs to stay wide. Someone needs to help separate players. And remember that a player cannot pull an opposing player off of a pile. That's a problem. That's a foul, and it'll lead to other fouls. So the ball's gone at least 10 yards, and it gets touched by the kicking team player. So what should we have on the field.
Winded.
Somebody needs a wind.
And what are the officials at the top of the screen doing? They're not part of this action. So you can see the deep wing is winding, making sure the clock has started. We kicked off with 15 minutes. We should know some time should have been taken off the clock. Because if you're right in that action, you're not going to be hyper focused on the clock. If you're away from the play, you can worry about those other things that are occurring. All right, obvious onside attempts. This is the traditional sixer up front. FNS, remind your line of scrimmage guys that you have the spot. Make sure they don't run over you. B&U, remind them that they are up there to help with watching blocks. So let's see if we could freeze frame this. So remember, it's a plane. So they're awfully close to putting their body across that line. Be very cognizant of that. We're getting some contact here at the 43, 44 yard line. And unless that player is attempting to field the ball, it's usually a return team initiating those blocks. And if the kicking team possesses the ball, possesses the kick, that ends the play. So the whistle came a little late here because the side judge, remember, we're just watching these for educational purposes. He lost his whistle. He knew he needed to kill it. He just lost his whistle. And if you see this from a different point of view, make sure you help out and kill the play with the whistle. Nothing good happens with a ball being dead and being advanced. Don't want a face mask. You don't want a low block. You don't want something that actually can be enforced. Switch to punts. So notice we have a bag on the ground. And as soon as the back judge has ruled possession and marked us out with the bag, we transition to blocks ahead of the play. Let me see if I can go back just a little bit here. Probably not. How we rolling that block at the 26? Was he in chase mode? Did he get him in the back? Or did he get him in the front? And with kicks, you have players going in different directions. There's always the chance of a blindside block. And is that player defenseless?
I mean, sure, if he was receiving a blindside block.
Was the contact to the head and neck area? Was it forcible? There's a lot going on in this play. That first block. That block. Make sure your eyes are looking in the correct spot. So if the return guy gives a signal, he gets protection, but even if he doesn't give a signal, he still gets an area to attempt to field that ball. And remember that even though you still have KCI, the play still continues. An important thing for back judges to remember is be slow and deliberate once you have a KCI. Give your deep wings a chance to come talk to you if there was any blocks that would affect that KCI. So obviously he was not blocked into, but there's a chance you might not see the action that occurs before that. Be slow, deliberate.
Bill, I'm not a back judge, but should this back judge looks like he's just about on a dead run as that ball's being caught.
Let me go back to the sideline view. The receiving team player does come up. We start 5 to 7 yards deep, just off of a shoulder. And once we know the trajectory of the ball, our goal is to get a 45-degree angle to look in for the touch, for the possession. So the way that the return player moves upfield, we're trying to also move upfield with him. Does that make sense? And I don't know that this back judge saw where the ball went after the KCI.
Yeah, I agree that you're supposed to be that angle from what I guess, and I'm not a deep guy, and I don't know this, and I don't care, but he looks like he's almost when he stops, he's almost getting the forward progress spot as well.
And
That's
we
my
do
guess.
not have that. That's just deep wings. Good point, Frank. Yeah, it's always the back judge will not have progress spot. It'll always be the deep wing.
Well, and I think especially when something's happening there, it's tempting to get up there and try and like get the flag in the mix. But I know I've gotten in trouble from closing down on the play too much rather than, fanning out, trying to keep the angle, but nothing good, especially when that much mess is going on. Nothing good comes from getting too close to it.
Yeah, absolutely. Be slow and deliberate. It's hard to teach yourself to be slow when you're on a football field, but it's just what we have to do.
We all know that our eyesight is better when we're still, and we get a better vision when we're back farther to get a broader field of vision.
Yeah, absolutely. You get to see more players. Okay, so punt play, we're going to snap from the 50. That means that all 3 deep officials will be on the goal line. So we have a punt. We have a kicking team decides to put his arms around the return player. We have a kicking team player run into the end zone. And then catch the ball. So we have to be clear on the rules and understand who can do what. So let's go back to the contact. Can this kicking team player put his arms around the return team player? The return team player is not fielding the ball. So unless he's deliberately holding him, then we have no issue. What if this return team player signaled and then ran up into this kicking team player? Would we have an issue? If he gave a fair catch signal and then ran up and hit the kicking team player, and who's going to see that?
Are you saying he ran up with the intent to block, or just ran up to try to draw the kicking team, towards him?
What if he did block after
Well,
signaling?
if he blocked, then you got a foul for that, because he's trying to block that player. I just don't know. Let's say he keeps running up to the 20 and then he makes contact with someone, but he's not trying to block.
Well, this is neither a block nor a hold. So these just 2 players just hitting each other.
Yeah.
But if he did block, yes, we would have a problem. And it needs to be the offside deep wing that asks the back judge, did he have a signal? So this is one of the interesting plays where we might not have a flag right away until we put the 2 pieces together. Unless the deep wing on the other side saw the signal, then saw the block, or the back judge saw the signal, then saw the block. So let's roll to the kicking team player jumping from the end zone, getting the ball, and then downing it. Remember on Saturday, which is different from Sunday, that the kicking team player can go in the end zone. It's where the ball is. If the ball never crosses that plane, then if possession is made and we kill it there, that's where they get possession. And you can see the side judge coming in to have a conversation with the back judge. He asks, did you see that contact with the returner? And the ball never crossed the plane. It's a kicking play. You don't have a ready for play right away. So take your time, communicate with each other out there. Remember, the kick doesn't end until possession. If he muffs it, it's just a illegal touch. You can get more than one illegal touch on a play. Another kick inside the 50, all 3 starting on the goal line. So we have a bat of a scrimmage kick in the air. Do we have any problems with that? No, because he's batting it towards his own goal line. We're perfectly fine with that. There's no receiving team player in the area that he's interfering with, so we're fine with that. We have another touch by a player at the 5. And then we have another touch by a player at the 6. So with all that going on, has the ball ever crossed the plane of the goal line for a hanging touchback? So we got touch at the 1, touch at the 5, 6 area. So make sure you're giving it to the return team where it's most advantageous, wherever the most advantageous illegal touch would be. So this is a try. And what do we do with touches that are within 2 yards?
If they're trying to block the punt or trying to block the kick, we disregard.
If it's an active attempt to block, absolutely. So we need to
And
know that.
Isn't it 3 yards, not 2? Sorry, I don't mean to quibble. Isn't it a 3-yard belt that we're disregarding those attempts?
Yeah, you're correct. Yes, absolutely. Just testing you out there.
That's that Ohio math.
So we have a block. And then what happens? And if you can hear the telecast, you could hear the commentators confused on why they're not allowed to return a try attempt. So it's blocked, which we ignore. But what other rules do we have to remember?
Untouched,
untouched.
untouched kick in B's end zone is dead.
So as soon as it hits in there, looks like the side judge got on the whistle right away, killed it. Nothing can happen. Good happens when the ball is actually dead and someone's trying to return it. Back judge, field judge should also be cognizant of that the ball was blocked, and then if it goes untouched in the end zone, to make it dead. So now I have the black screen of death. So field judge, back judge, make sure you're communicating with each other. This ball is snapped from about the 22-yard line. Remember that who has the goal line on kicks outside the 20. and pregame that with your line of scrimmage officials that inside 20 is yours, outside 20 is ours. So we do have a block. Remember, we got another goal line we got to officiate. Officials under the goalpost move to their pylons. The referee knows that he has a goal line behind him. Line of scrimmage guys know that they have the progress spot.
The other thing you got to keep in mind here is the offside official, as the offside official is a short wing. Not only are we watching our blocks offside or whatever, we got to keep an eye on that kicker so nobody cheap shots him, because he is a defenseless player, quote unquote, by rule.
Yeah, absolutely. So on field goals and tries, how I know side judges aren't used to being in there with the action, but we need to be vocal and talk to the players, because they're just 18 to 22-year-old athletes. Remind them, and I used to always call them up by number, say, hey, 29, you can't leap because he's too far away. And remember, we've added a new rule about protecting the center even more here. So is this leaping? Does he have to land on a player for it to be leaping?
He does not have to land on somebody for it to be leaving.
Is he allowed to go where he went? He's allowed to shoot a gap,
Sure.
but if you're more than 1 yard, you can't leap, and you don't have to land. So if this was leaping, what is the enforcement?
This is a try.
Yes.
They can keep it and take the kickoff, or they can retry at the distance.
So because it's a personal foul on a scoring kick,
Mm-hmm.
they can have it added on.
And if this is into the fourth quarter, it can be carried to overtime.
Yes, absolutely. It could be carried over now. So that's just my short little presentation on video kicks. Is there anything that wasn't clear I need to touch on, or any questions on any of the plays you want to go back to?
Just as a point, hey, Jeremy, on on where you have first touching down there and all that stuff, kind of walk folks through what your expectation from a referee for what you want to know.
Or any referees.
Yeah, from a referee standpoint, what do you want to know from your deeps on the touching plays down there next to the goal line?
I mean, what we need to know is not just what happened on the play, but much like any foul and any penalty enforcement, try to give the information how you would expect an announcement to be. What's an average fan going to need to know to make it simple to understand? Touching the field of play, touching the end zone, what's the result of the play, and then help just piece it together for the referee. It's always a good idea to try to give the information as how you think the announcement should sound.
Thanks, Dave.
Yeah, thanks, Dave. Basically, assume the referee knows nothing because you don't. I've worked back there before, so assume the referee has no clue what's going on.
Right.
I would let the referee know, we have a touching in the field of play at the 1. We have another touching at the 6. The ball is dead at the 5. We're going to award them the illegal touching at the 6.
And
again,
then probably another good thing to add, Bill, is make sure you tell the sideline officials potentially, because a coach may ask them, did the ball get in the neutral zone or why isn't it a touchback? So at some point it could be helpful to get the information over to the sidelines.
Yes, absolutely.
And this is a play that you really want to go slow because you want to give that replay official, if you're in a game with replay, time to try to find whatever angles he can to make sure that he's good to clear the play as well.
All right, Bill, good stuff. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right.
Sorry, you
everybody.
stopped broadcasting?
No, I got you.
Okay.
All right, everybody, just a couple of quick things of note. The quiz and things are on the website. Answers will come out on Friday. You can see on the online presentations next Thursday night at 8 o'clock, we will be doing the teachable moments. So if you haven't submitted a play or two for me, please do, so I can pull them down and try to upload things as needed to the YouTube channel ahead of the call. Hopefully we'll get a lot of plays. We might have to do this over a couple of different meetings, but that's what's coming up next. Otherwise, all of our presentations have been recorded. They're on the YouTube channel, so you can head over there to check them out if you want. Otherwise, everybody, appreciate everybody being on tonight. Have a great rest of your week, and hopefully we'll see you again next time. So have a good one. Thanks.
Thanks, guys. Have a good